The fluorescent lights of County General's emergency room cast harsh shadows across Marcus Webb's weathered hands as he checked a patient's vitals for the third time that shift. At 34, with silver threading through his close-cropped hair and eyes that had seen too much, he moved through the ward with a quiet competence that most of his colleagues chose to ignore. They'd already decided who he was the moment he'd walked through those doors 6 months ago. The divorced dad playing nurse probably couldn't hack it in a real career, definitely not someone who belonged in their world of medical hierarchy and unspoken rules. "Hey, Marcus, think you can handle changing bedpans today, or is that too complicated?" Jennifer, a veteran nurse with perfectly manicured nails and a perpetual sneer, called out loud enough for the entire station to hear. Laughter rippled through the group clustered around the computer terminals, the same cruel soundtrack that had accompanied his every shift since he'd started. Marcus didn't respond. He simply nodded, his jaw tight, and continued toward room 307 where Mrs. Patterson, an 82-year-old widow, had been asking for him specifically. She didn't care that he was a single father juggling custody of his 7-year-old daughter, Emma. She didn't mock him for choosing nursing after his divorce, for wanting to heal instead of hurt. Mrs. Patterson saw something in him that others missed, though she could never quite put it into words. "I don't understand why you let them treat you like that," she said softly as Marcus adjusted her pillows with the kind of gentle precision that spoke of practice, of caring deeply about small comforts. "Because getting angry won't help you get better," he replied with a sad smile. "And you're what matters right now." The truth was more complicated, buried under years of discipline and sacrifice that Marcus had learned to keep locked away. His colleagues saw a man who'd failed at marriage, who was barely scraping by, who'd chosen one of the lowest paid positions in the hospital. They didn't see the scars, physical and emotional, that mapped a different story across his body and soul. They didn't know about the midnight missions, the brothers lost, the weight of decisions made in split seconds that haunted him still. By afternoon, the mockery had escalated. Someone had left a toy stethoscope on his locker with a note, "For when you're ready to play real doctor." The break room went silent when he entered, then erupted in barely suppressed giggles when he left. Dr. Hendricks, a surgeon with an ego as inflated as his salary, had loudly questioned the nursing director about lowering standards, within earshot of Marcus during rounds. Through it all, Marcus maintained his composure. He held the hand of a frightened teenager getting stitches, talked a paranoid schizophrenic down from a violent episode with nothing but his calm voice and patient presence, and stayed 2 hours past his shift to sit with a dying man who had no family, ensuring he wouldn't leave this world alone. It was nearly 6 p.m. when the sound first cut through the usual chaos of the ER. A deep, rhythmic thumping that grew louder with each passing second. Patients and staff alike moved toward the windows, confusion rippling through the crowd. The thumping became a roar, and then the building itself seemed to vibrate as a Navy helicopter, dark gray and imposing, descended onto the hospital's rooftop helipad, an area typically reserved for critical patient transfers. "What the hell?" Jennifer muttered, her phone already out, recording. The director, Dr. Sarah Chen, came striding through the doors, her face a mixture of confusion and concern. "Did anyone call for a military medical transport? Do we have an incoming trauma?" Silence answered her. Then the elevator doors opened, and 4 men emerged. They weren't medical personnel. They wore dress uniforms, Navy SEALs by the insignia, moving with the kind of purpose that made everyone instinctively step aside. The leader, a commander with silver at his temples and ribbons covering his chest, scanned the room with eyes trained to assess and calculate. "We're looking for Marcus Webb," he announced, his voice carrying the unmistakable weight of authority. Every head turned toward Marcus, who had gone very still near the nurse's station, his face unreadable. The commander's stern expression cracked into something warmer, something that looked almost like relief. "There you are, you stubborn son of a bitch," Commander James Peterson said, crossing the distance between them. "Been trying to reach you for 3 days. You still refusing to answer calls from Virginia." The room had gone silent, the kind of profound quiet where even breathing seems too loud. "I'm out, Jim," Marcus said quietly, his voice steady but firm. "I told you that 2 years ago. I know what you told me. And I respected it, I did. But this isn't about recruitment, Marcus. This is about Tommy." Something flickered across Marcus's face, a crack in the careful control. What about Tommy? He's in Germany, Walter Reed. Shrapnel from an IED, bad infection, and he's going downhill fast. He's asking for you. Hell, he's only asking for you. Won't let anyone else near him for certain procedures. The kid's got trauma, Marcus, the kind you understand better than any shrink we've got. Jennifer's phone had captured everything, but her hands had started shaking. Doctor. Hendricks was staring at Marcus like he'd never seen him before, which, in a way, he hadn't. Tommy Rodriguez? Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The kid from Kandahar. The same one whose life you saved while taking 2 bullets yourself. The same one you carried 3 miles through enemy territory with a collapsed lung. Yeah, that Tommy. He needs you, Chief. Chief. The title hung in the air like a revelation. Marcus Webb wasn't just a nurse, wasn't just a struggling single dad. He was Chief Petty Officer Marcus Webb, Navy SEAL, a man with a service record that included 3 Bronze Stars, a Silver Star, and a reputation among special operations as one of the most skilled combat medics ever to serve. I have a daughter, Marcus said, but his resolve was already crumbling. I have a shift tomorrow, responsibilities here. Your daughter is why you left, and we all respect that, Commander Peterson said. But you taught us that we never leave a man behind. Tommy is behind, Marcus. Way behind. And he needs the one person who's always been able to pull him back. Doctor. Chen stepped forward, her earlier confusion replaced with something like awe. Mr. Webb, if you need to go, we'll manage. Take whatever time you need. Marcus looked around at the faces now staring at him with shock, respect, and in some cases, shame. Jennifer had gone pale, her phone forgotten in her hand. Doctor. Hendricks was studying his shoes with sudden intensity. My shift ends at 7, Marcus said finally. I need to arrange care for Emma, pack a bag, and brief whoever's covering my patients. Mrs. Patterson in 307 needs her medication adjusted, the timing is critical. The young man in 315 has severe anxiety, approach him slowly and from the front. Mr. Chen in 320. We'll take care of them, drive. Chen interrupted gently. You've taken care of everyone else long enough. 4 hours later, Marcus was on that helicopter, flying through the darkness toward a military transport that would take him to Germany. He'd called his ex-wife, who'd agreed immediately to take Emma for as long as needed, her voice thick with emotion as he briefly explained. He'd called Emma, promised her he'd be back soon, that he loved her more than anything, that she was his whole world. What he hadn't done was acknowledge the apologies that had started flooding in the moment the helicopter lifted off. Text messages, voicemails, even a handwritten note slipped into his bag from Dr. Chen, all saying essentially the same thing, we're sorry. We didn't know. We should have treated you better regardless. The truth was, they should have. They should have seen past the surface, past their assumptions and prejudices, to recognize the quiet strength in the man who showed up every day, who did his job with excellence despite their cruelty, who chose healing over bitterness even when he would have been justified in either. 3 weeks later, Marcus returned to County General with Tommy Rodriguez by his side. The young veteran was still recovering, but stable, his haunted eyes less hollow than they'd been, his handshake firm when he thanked the staff for letting me borrow the best damn medic who ever lived. The hospital had changed in Marcus's absence, or perhaps the people in it had. Jennifer had requested a transfer to another ward, unable to face him after what she'd done. Dr. Hendricks had made a substantial anonymous donation to a veteran's nursing scholarship in Marcus's name. The culture of mockery had evaporated, replaced by something that looked almost like reverence. But Marcus didn't want reverence. He just wanted to do his job, to care for his patients, to be there when Emma got home from school. The medals and the missions were his past, important but not defining. This, the daily work of healing and compassion, the choice to serve in a different way, this was who he'd chosen to become. On his first shift back, Marcus found Mrs. Patterson waiting for him in room 307, a knowing smile on her weathered face. I told you, she said as he checked her vitals with the same gentle precision as before. I told you there was something special about you. Just a nurse doing his job, Mrs. Patterson, he replied, but he was smiling too, the kind of smile that comes from knowing your worth isn't determined by whether others recognize it, from understanding that true strength often wears the quietest face. Outside the window, the sky was clear, empty of helicopters but full of possibility. And in that ordinary moment, in that simple act of care between a nurse and his patient, there was more heroism than 1,000 dramatic rescues could ever contain. Because Marcus Webb had learned the hardest lesson of all, that coming home, that choosing love and service and showing up every day despite the cost, that was the bravest mission of all.